Now, there is one indelible fact about alcohol use disorder that is never talked about, and yet is probably one of the most important facts about this disease. Now, anybody who has survived alcohol use disorder and found themselves in some capacity of sobriety, albeit they got a 60-day pin or a 90-day pin or a 6-month pin or a 1-year pin or a 5-year or a 10-year or 15 or 25 and beyond. There's one indelible fact that every one of those persons who have got to that point will say, and that is, they will never say, I wish I could go back to where I was. I wish I could go back and be an alcoholic again. I wish I could go back and be a consumer of wine, spirits, beer, and go back to that life. No one ever in the history of sobriety will ever say that. And again, I have a complete coaching program that's designed for both the alcoholic and the alcoholic's family. We set up a blueprint and really a path and a journey for someone's entire life to make sure they have a life of sobriety forever. Again, link is in the bio. Set up a breakthrough call. It takes about 45 minutes or so. And we do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family. The call is free. The course is definitely not. But I'm looking for people who want to change their life and the life of their family. Because the truth is, no one innately wants to become an alcoholic or get caught into the trap of alcohol use disorder. Nobody's goal as a child is to become an alcoholic later in life. Nobody wakes up and consciously says, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to consume a case a day and be an unproductive, unresourceful human being. I want to, be a burden to my family, and I want to be a burden to everybody in my life, including myself, and I want to, live a shorter, unfulfilled, and horrible existence. That's my goal. Nobody has that goal. Okay, kids don't grow up thinking, do I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, a teacher, a truck driver, a carpenter, or do I want to be an alcoholic? Nobody has that mindset. Nobody wants to go down that road. So when someone does get caught in the trap of this disease, it's so important to realize what's waiting on the other side. What is sobriety for them? And sobriety needs to become a reality, and they need to think about sobriety in a different way. And this is the reason why it's so important that someone needs to recognize that they have a problem before they get into the chemical, physical, and emotional addiction that alcohol will take them down, before they become in denial, before they become deflective, and before they become gaslit, and everybody else is the problem, they're not the problem, before someone lacks the awareness to realize how they're affecting their life and the life of everybody in their life. This is why it's so important to get to people before that. It's really the purpose of everything I talk about is prevention, awareness, education, and to take action on that awareness. Because no one wants to be trapped into this hell on earth, which is known as alcohol use disorder. No one. Again, in my wife's case, she was a very kind, loving, intelligent, funny, creative person, and she was also, a very successful salesperson and business person before this drug took over. This is why, it's so important to have the awareness that you have a problem, that you've created a habit. Okay, her goal was definitely not to pass away at 58 from alcohol use disorder after wreaking havoc in her life and in the life of her son and her husband. And, certainly she was a burden to many other people's, including society, with 4 DUIs. Guaranteed that this was not her goal. This was not her intention, as it isn't anyone's intention. This is why anybody who, goes down this road, anybody can find themselves trapped in this web of alcohol use disorder. It's not a character issue. It's not a moral issue. Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it at all. So that's why the awareness and education is just so important. And this is why I always say everything you want is on the other side of fear. So if you're using alcohol to cover up repressed emotions, be it depression or anxiety or stress or the plethora of other emotions. If you're dealing with something dual like ADHD, PTSD, bipolar, schizophrenia, maybe you're an introvert. If you're dealing with some kind of social awkwardness and the alcohol is covering that up, just be aware that that's taking away from really who you are, and you're going down the road of chemical, emotional, and physical dependence. And that's not a goal you want. And there is no health purpose for alcohol. There is no advantage to alcohol to put it in your body, as it is a class 1 carcinogen. No one will package it and tell you that way, but that's what it is. That's why it's so important to get this kind of message on bottles and get the reality of what this drug does and the accessibility of what this drug does to individuals and to our society as a whole. The last thing I want to say is the memoir of Amanda, A Cautionary Tale. It's the story of my wife, her life, and I was married to her for 25 years. She passed away about 5 years ago. It's a book that will resonate with you, and if you see things going on in your life similar to Amanda, it's time to make changes and to change your behavior and who you associate with in your life. And I hope that makes sense. Again, thanks so much for listening. Again, you can click in the link, purchase the book right on my website. It's also on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and the Apple website for the ebook. Hard copies on Amazon. It's also in my link, and there's also an international link on my link tree on my page. Thanks for listening.